Good noon and good evening.
Yeah. That was a reminder that there is a bit of a gap in our time differences when you checked in today.
Yeah, 5 hours, I tell you. Welcome, eavesdroppers, EP21, December 4th. We have one more, I think one more to go, and then it's Christmas, I believe. Uh, it's fast. We just
Yeah,
started. We just started, and all of a sudden we are 21.
yeah, I know. I was thinking that the other day. I mean, about a lot of things. What I love too is we really. I mean, we packed them in this year.
We did.
We
We
did.
did. We did. Because we're supposed to do 26, right? We're supposed to do 26 because it's, bi-weekly. And now we're 21. We'll do, I think, 22 or 24. But just amazing. Just
Yeah.
amazing. God has been good
Yeah.
to us.
Yes.
Our timing and everything. How are you doing, Tracy Waldman Phillips?
I'm doing well. I shared something with you before we went on. I'm having some, and it's interesting because I got a text earlier today from a client who
Uh-huh.
was sharing some things with me. I'm like, ooh, that's very similar to what I've been feeling too. Kind of a reclamation. A lot of things from the past starting to kind of make sense in different ways, right? A
Mm-hmm.
shifted perspective. Like, ooh, I didn't see it from that angle before.
Gotcha.
I wasn't really, I don't know, aware or looking, or I didn't want to look, in some cases. And just seeing clarity,
Hmm.
and he shared something that was very similar to what my experiences have been, which leads me always to believe that there's probably a lot of other people out there having these types of experiences where, there's aspects of ourselves that we didn't realize were disenfranchised. It's that
Hmm.
healing the inner child, some people call it. I mean, there's a lot of names for it, but what it really is there are parts of us that got left, and my vision has been bringing those parts, because the vision I get, obviously it being Christmas time and I celebrate Christmas. We
Gotcha.
just started putting the decorations up for, last weekend. We
Uh-huh.
decorated the tree and all that stuff. And so the vision is kind of a Christmas holiday decorating type of situation where you've got the ones in the corner that don't know their place. Either they're too young and they can't hang the breakable ornaments, or there's something and they're just not sure where their place or space is, right, in all of
Hmm.
the celebratory preparation, and also where their place at the table is. And so just gently inviting those people into, come on in, you can, here's an ornament. You
Yeah.
give them one that isn't breakable, and like oh, that's the perfect spot, and it's symbolic because really we've been so conditioned to think we have to wait for the outside world to invite us, right? We have to
Hmm.
be, if it's that right job that shows, promotion that shows that we're worthy, or we're supported by the organization, or it's that right relationship, that person saying I choose you,
Mm.
or whatever that is, that we're waiting for that to feel our place, to feel the
Wow.
love, to feel that. I saw the funniest, I don't know why I find this so darn funny, but, and you might see this, and it looked almost like it might be in some place in Africa or something, but there was this cow
Uh-huh.
and there was a cobra, and the cobra was up doing, the whole don't get near me thing. It had its
Uh-huh.
little side out and all that. And the cow just started licking it. There was a little video of this cow licking it, and the cobra's like, doesn't know what to do with
Oh
all
my
that love.
goodness.
That was not what the cobra was expecting. Um,
Correct.
but it was just so funny because
Oh
it's
wow.
that place where we go into this protective mode because we're not feeling it in some way, and we're
Mm.
both scared that the outside world isn't going to give us what we want, but then
Mm.
we also don't really know sometimes how to receive it when we do get it. Like, that's a lot of love. I mean, a big cow tongue, like, I mean, I
Yep.
can only imagine what that felt like to that poor little poor, I don't know, it's like it's just trying to protect itself. But we don't expect a blast of love when we think we need to
Mm.
attack something, or and the attack is only because of fear, and it's fear that we're going to be hurt in some way. So these
Wow.
disenfranchised parts of ourselves are hurt parts that to feel need to feel not hurt. They need to
Mm.
heal those places, and only we can do that.
Yeah.
No job,
Yeah.
no relationship, no, I mean, there's going to be that insecurity if we don't heal those parts of ourselves. So the whole thing is just, is I think I realize, and I like sharing it because I oftentimes, as you well know, I don't share my own stories.
No. No.
Share my
No.
own stories, and it takes a crack open for me. I mean, my mom passing and all that went on, for me, even in that one, you know, conversation we had right after she had passed, from you to see that
Mm-hmm.
kind of vulnerability in me, and
Correct.
that's not being human. So
Mm.
it's nice to be
Mm.
reminded, but it's also, I'm really grateful for this space because it has been one that has allowed me to come forward and share a lot of parts of myself in ways. I mean, this is like going out to the world.
Yep.
Not that the whole world is going to see it, thank God. But it reminds me in a lot of ways of what happened with Brene Brown. I don't know if you ever saw
Mm-hmm.
her TED talk after her second TED talk after she had done her first one on
Uh-huh.
vulnerability.
Okay.
And what she shared in her second TED talk, which was the power, about shame, her research on shame, is she started by
Mm.
saying, when I did that first TED talk, I was thinking like 500 people were going to see me, and that was enough to cause me a great amount of angst.
Oh my goodness.
And then that 500 is like 5,000, and then that 5,000 turned into like 5 million views. And she's like, I didn't really have a contingency plan for 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And
Wow.
you're never going to be fully ready. It's like when people said, what was it like to lose a parent? And I said, it doesn't matter how old a person gets and can say, oh, they lived a good life. It's just, you're not ready.
You're not. You're
I mean, how
not.
do you
You
get ready
know.
for something? Like, you don't, even if it's happened once before and, unfortunately you go through it again, I mean, you're still not ready. I mean, it's a different
Yeah.
relationship, a different time. Like, there's no preparing us for these twists and turns in life. And even when these things come up in ourselves that need healing, like I talked about,
Mm.
there's no preparing for that. It's like, oh, whoops, there it is, and
Yeah.
you have a choice. You can either attend to it or not.
Oof. I like that.
Um, so you have
Mm.
choice. You can push it down, and you can try to, just barrel through it, whatever it is, whether it's grief, whether it's healing, whatever it is. So there's that, but it will come back around. And so at some point it's like, well, it's time because it's coming up.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I'm just really grateful. I mean, obviously Thanksgiving just passed here in the States, and I'm really grateful for this platform because it's shifted me in ways I wasn't seeing coming.
Mm.
So,
Mm.
and you have
Hey.
lovingly coaxed me out over the years too. Okay, could you stop talking about your clients and tell us something about yourself?
Yeah.
Um, so I appreciate that because you've done it in really patient, loving ways, and that's what we need. We need
And
that.
believe it or not, uh, in the beginning, I would look at you on here and go, "Oh my goodness, she's talking about the client. She's talking about." I'm like, "No, but it's okay. It's okay. It's okay." And then I think a year or two in, you started to pronounce, to enunciate, and that's when the passion started. When we started to talk about, I think we talked one about putting people in their place, and you need to be in that position. And then whew, and I was like, hold up, what is this lady doing? And that first time seeing you on fire. uh and I can remember, I think I know which one. I know exactly the point, but I don't know the topic. That it just came out. But I think what people don't see is the topic, the discussion
Yeah.
after our conversations, right? After we turn the cameras off to the world, we come in and go, oh my goodness, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, can you
Yeah.
imagine? And to just know that it wasn't planned, that we just availed ourselves to these moments to come on here. Yeah, I was at the court for roughly 4 hours today, from 12 straight on to about no 3:30. And I looked at the time and I said, oh my goodness, if traffic is on here, I will be missing this. And I couldn't have a place to turn my computer on and do the show because it was pretty noisy. It's loud. Um, so I said to myself, well, you know what? I'll just prep and tell her I can't, I may not be able to. As soon as I sent it to you, they called my case. We heard it out. And I was walking to my car and I said to myself, I've already given it. I'm not gonna go. I'm gonna go to something else. And I got in the car and I put in the GPS the distance home, 37 minutes, and it was about 4 o'clock. And I was like, no, it was about 3:30. Like, I can make it. Um, you know, as you said, we have a choice. We have a choice for showing up. Sometimes I think, what are we going to talk about? What am I going to say? But it's beautiful that it's not planned, that we don't have to put the pressure on ourselves.
Hmm.
Um, one thing was, you were talking, prior to coming on, I said, I have such a mountain of gratitude in me in this season, in these moments, that when I think about this entire year, I've never gone to bed hungry, right? I've never, I've been taken care of. Um, the issues that came up, I'm still alive today, and we passed them. So what am I going to do? What's my lessons learned, if I may say? What's my lessons learned for the future? I perceive myself, okay, I'm mature. So if I if I can solidify, cement this in my mind, that hopefully in the future, when something starts to occur, I can go and say, hey, rewind to that place, to that slice of, for the entire 2024, it was good. So give me a break. It's going to be great in 2025. What's the worst that could happen? Right? What's the worst that could happen? It may have happened. I know our children. We're praying that God takes care of them, that they have the right decisions. But there's nothing, that fear. Now I heard this, perfect love drives fear away.
Mhm.
Um, in terms of our loved ones, our spouses, our children, our work, and I think my gratitude is just that I've got people that I can love, because sometimes it's, if you look around and you can't love, it's, but more so I'm getting to love myself, right?
Yeah.
First and foremost, I'm loving myself. Um, and I'm growing. I'm saying, no, this thing that you're doing is not the right thing. Do this instead. Because we talked last EP about, my words, and I got on the court again, and hey, I got into a moment where I controlled it, where I was able to see it coming, and I went, "Yay! Yeah, I know, yay!" I was able to control it. So just a lot of gratitude, and one, I'll pass this back to you shortly, right after this one. I was talking to a group of youth at the church last week, and in the conversation, I it just just came up. I said, "Do you know why we scream and yell when we don't, when we are in engaging and communicating?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, "Take a guess." They went on giving examples, and I said, "Nah." I said, "We scream and yell when we don't have the ability to fulfill the ask. And in our confusion, the confusion of our mind, the only way it's expressed is, yeah, because we turn to that 5 year old that you talked about, that when somebody comes engaging you, what do you say to that 5 year old person? So you're talking to yourself, but it's been projected to the other person. Example: your child comes to you, things are hard, just saying, or the child has a question that you can't answer, and the child keeps asking these pressing and deep questions, and you answer the first and the second, and it keeps getting deeper, and you say, just shut up, just stop. You're right, you get frustrated, not with the child, you're really frustrated with yourself, that you can't fulfill. Or the your wife says, "Sweetheart, we have a ball to go to." Yeah. We have to buy a dress. Yeah. The 2 or 3 a week before. Okay, I'm gonna buy the dress now. What? What are you gonna? Where do we get the money from? It's your lack of being able to provide that causes
Mhm.
this. So, from individuals who are on the receiving end, please understand that it's not your fault. Please
Mhm.
understand that the reason you're being yelled at is not you. It's the person who just can't control it, that they're doing this, and they're snapping back. They're incapable of processing at that moment.
Mhm. That's a big one. I mean, I think that
I
that's
know.
that's such an incredible point, and we've all been there. We've been on the receiving end of that, and we've been on the giving end of
Giving.
that, the delivering end, and to be able to realize it's because I do love. It's because I do want
Mm,
to serve,
mm.
right? I do want to serve and fulfill that ask,
True, true.
right? And maybe our reasons are different. Maybe it could be egoic, I want to be the man or the woman, or it can just be I want to offer everything I possibly can to my child and I can't.
Mm, mm,
And that
mm.
hurts.
It does.
It hurts
It does.
because we love, I mean, especially if our love is acts of service, which mine is. If I can't, I serve through what I do.
Mm,
That's acts of service is your love language, is just that, right? You show
mm.
people you love them by doing things for them. And that's how I love. And so what you just said really resonated with me, because I know throughout time, that's been a big one, is that when I can't serve through a place of love, um, it does frustrate me, right?
Mm.
It's almost like I can't love, right? Not, I know that that's not true, but it being my love language, I can't translate it into something that shows, that love in
Yeah.
my in my interpretation. Um, so that's a big one. It's funny you
Mm.
said earlier, that sometimes you're like, well, I don't even know what we're going to talk about. That is always a telling statement. So when I get on a call with a client and they're like, I was
Uh-huh.
thinking I was, going to reschedule because I got so much going on and I just didn't know there was nothing to talk about. Those are always the sessions that are most profound. Every single time. I don't care who it is. I mean, I've been doing this over a decade. Anytime
Mm.
I hear people say, oh, I almost rescheduled, I don't have anything that I don't know what we're going to talk
Oh my
about.
goodness. Wow.
And
Wow.
it's kind of reminds me when I was doing health coaching, what happens when our body is let's say needs detoxing, and we detox, right? We go through a body cleanse and then we get really sick. And people are
Mm.
like, that makes no sense. I just went through this 2-week intensive detox and then I got sick. Or, I was at school and I push to get my exams and I push and then I go
Mm.
home and during vacation I'm sick. And what I like to explain to people is, well, healing takes a lot of energy.
Mm.
And if
Mm.
you're putting your energy into other things, your body can't use it to heal.
Wow.
So let's say you have lots of toxins in your body. Before you do that detox, the body's just trying to it's like a fist fight, right? Like it's just trying to beat off those toxins and all your energy is going to beat off the
Yeah.
toxins. It can't heal. It's not in a safe place to heal. It needs to just battle it out. And once you drain all those, well, not all, but you drain enough of the toxins where your body's like, oh, it's not a fist fight anymore. Now I can focus on
Ooh.
the healing.
Wow.
You get sick because it's your body's ability to purge. That's the healing.
Mm.
It's called a healing crisis.
Mm.
And the same thing when we're just pushing through to get those exams and studying and staying up late and eating and drinking the wrong things and all that. Our body finally gets to a rest point. We go on vacation and it purges,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Because it can.
Yeah. Wow.
And how beautiful is that? That's why I keep telling myself as these things keep coming up, it's like, oh my gosh, with me, it's always in the middle of the night. So it always disrupts my sleep, which means the next day I'm always exhausted. And I'm like, oh, like another, yeah. It's like having a newborn. It really, I mean, this internal healing is like having a newborn. You don't sleep much. But I keep also realizing that, like with a newborn, we love that baby. I
Mm.
mean, we love that baby so much, we're going without sleep for a long
Yeah.
period of time,
Yeah, Tracy.
right?
Oh my
We could
goodness.
be so depleted, but we still get
Wow.
up for that baby,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Because we love that baby. It's not even a question. Like it's just, you know, and
Wow.
we can be our own baby, right? And we are in these times, where these things are coming up for us and we're going to get up for that baby. We're going to do the
Mm.
inner work. We're going to get real with ourselves
Mm.
so that we can
Mm.
heal, because it's not about the world. It's about us. But it is about the world in the sense that if we don't heal, we can't serve the world the way we were designed to.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. As you were saying that, um just before you said that last statement, I was like, airplane, put your mask on before you put it on the next person. Tracy, there's so I'm gonna switch up slightly. When you were
Mm-hmm.
talking, I said to myself, we have roughly 26 more days, 27 more days to go. And eavesdroppers, please chime in here. I see you're there watching. I can see you. I see some of you are sitting at your desk. No, I don't see that. It just has the eye with the number of people on here. But please chime in. Really, it livens up this place even more. Now, I was thinking to myself, we have roughly 26 more days to go for 2024. And with the gratitude I was speaking about, what if you look at Tracy 2023's ending of Tracy and look at 2024 ending of Tracy, what do you see? What do you observe? in that person?
That's a really
And
good question.
and to all of you who are watching, let me know too. What do you see in that person from 2023 to 2024, and what are your expectations of this beautiful person that we are for 2025?
Oh, that's such, wow, what a powerful question. Um, well, the end of 2023 was pretty traumatic
Mm,
for me. So I think I was in that fist fight. It was a quiet fist fight because it was, you know, it was a contemplative time, right? I mean, when you lose, because my mom passed away in January, the early, part of January of this year. So
yeah,
we were right in the midst of her being sick and all of that stuff.
I remember
And
you're traveling, a lot of
and
traveling you
there's
were
a lot of
doing.
travel
Oh,
because of
goodness.
that, and prior to that, losing the puppy and my daughter's, being in the accident. And we also had an exchange student with us the whole time.
Oh
This was all
yeah,
going on,
yeah. Oh
so
wow.
there was a lot happening. So I think what I learned from 2023 was being in the moment, because that's all I could do.
Mm,
I mean, when you've got one thing after another, like that just becomes you're in the moment. And it didn't feel like a fist fight. Actually, it was interesting looking back. Somebody was asking me this somewhat recently, like a couple months ago.
hmm
Is it everything kind of slowed down? Like, do you have really strong memories of that time? Like, actually, what I realized is, and even though I just used the analogy of, it was a fist fight, it actually, I felt a lot of magic during that time.
Mm,
So it's like,
an
God,
oxymoron.
God giveth, God taketh away. God taketh away, God giveth, kind of experience. And
Wow.
just being present with it. That
Mm,
that is probably the standout for the end of the year, where it's just like, just be with it. Don't try to control it, because you can't. Don't try to make sense of it, because you can't.
mm,
Just be with it. And by being with it, there was so much magic. I mean, so many moments that I was able to capitalize on because I was present with them, that I'm now looking back, it's like, thank God I did that. Thank God I was present,
wow.
because I will
Wow.
not have another opportunity.
Mm-mm.
Um, so that stands out for the end of 2023 for me. The end of this year, I think, that presence has definitely been something that's continued. In fact, so much I've allowed to just kind of fetter away that was just not worth my time and energy,
Mm,
that it's left me this ability. 2024 has been a pretty slow progression, right? And old me, and I talk pre 2020 me,
mm.
very much a doer, go getter, make things happen, all of that. And the me I am now is actually, interestingly enough, when I look at my human design, it's my natural blueprint,
Gotcha.
is very curious, very playful,
Mm.
very grateful. And what's interesting, I just got into this thing called Gene Keys, which is kind of like that next level of human design. So watch out.
Okay.
We'll have more conversations about that to come, but I'm not going to dive into it now. But Gene Keys is basically about taking our genes, right? Our gene code, our human
Uh-huh.
genome, right? And looking at where those genes, or the keys are also called gifts in human design. If you look at your design and you have the gifts listed, the gifts
Uh-huh.
are your gene code. And these are the
Okay.
gifts, God-given gifts. These are the innate traits, right, that I talk about, in my book, your innate value,
Gotcha.
and how that factors into your purpose and service. And my top gene code or gift is leadership. And what I love about what the guy did who designed this is he looked at each key as a spectrum. So he bookended the spectrum. So leadership, for example, the two
Mm-hmm.
bookends are humility and arrogance. So when you think about leadership, you are always kind of balance, doing this balancing act between humility and
Mm.
and being not humble.
Correct.
And
Oh wow, I
and
like that.
so and it's a contemplative journey. It's not a step by step, oh, if you want to be more humble and less arrogant, you've got to do these steps. It's not at all. It's a discovery journey. So he talks about contemplation. When you contemplate that spectrum in
Mm-hmm.
any moment, being present, where am I in that spectrum? If
Mm-hmm.
I am the embodiment of leadership as a G code 31, that is my top code. That is what I'm here for. So I'm like, oh, phew, I'm in the right business.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not about doing things again, as we've said. It's about being. So I have to be the embodiment of leadership. I am the embodiment of leadership. So what I'm embodying is my leadership in the moment. So if I am more on the end of the spectrum of arrogance in the moment, that's what I'm embodying in my leadership.
Okay.
If
Okay.
I'm more right. So it's a constant evolutionary moment by moment. It's situational leadership, right? Like right now, how am I being?
Mm.
Right now, how am I being? Right now, how am I being? And it's not like we're going to be constantly conscious of all these aspects of our code all the time. But when we realize what the predominant purpose of our life is designed to
Mm.
be, then we can really capitalize on those particular points of reference.
Wow.
And
Wow.
also because I say the word humility, if I ask 10 people, define for me humility, I'm going to get 10
Mm-hmm.
different answers,
Correct.
right? Same thing
Correct.
with arrogance. Define for me, right? What is your definition of
Mm.
arrogance? And so it's
Mm.
our own personal definition, right? We get to find ourselves within
Wow.
this journey of contemplating these concepts. So I really love it. And it goes hand in hand with how I approach and believe coaching should be. It's not I'm going to take your hand and lead you through. It's really I'm going to ride alongside you in the sidecar of your motorcycle and be your accountability buddy, support you, maybe challenge you, help interpret things if it
Mm.
resonates, but it's your journey, right?
Yeah.
I'm a
Yeah.
player in your play, a supportive actress, as it were. I'm not the main role, and I take that very seriously, which is why I love using things like human design and gene keys so that I know what that makeup is of the person I'm supporting. I'm not going to
Gotcha.
support them the way I was designed. I mean,
Mm.
my action of support will be in my designation of design, but knowing what they're designed for is really more as a supportive actress. I'm kind of trying to support in them.
Wow.
So yeah, it's fun
Yeah.
stuff. But I think 2024 is more laying down a lot of what just is getting so clear does not serve me, right? Whether it's approaches,
Mm.
relationships, things I spend my time doing, you know, because I realize I am an overgiver, big time.
Mm. Wow.
I am an
Have you-
overgiver because my love language is acts of service. So it's like I just, it's
How
that constant wanting people to know that they're loved.
how does that play with your? You just said you're an overgiver, but then knowing you are a person who does not do for people where they lean on you. So
Right.
how
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah,
how do you
that's actually, yeah.
how do you
Explain that.
tightrope that?
Yeah, explain that one for me. No, that's a great question, and
Oh
I'm guessing
wow.
because we're talking about this resonates with a lot of people, right? This is not just
Correct.
Tracy
Yeah.
Bauer; it's all about
No,
Tracy.
it's not.
This
No, it's not.
is what we talk about behind the scenes. That whatever comes up, we trust that we're talking about it because there's many other people where it resonates with them.
Correct.
But that's my balance between humility and arrogance, right there. Um, that 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 question, I think, because you're right, I actually have a very strong sense of boundaries when it comes to
Correct.
not doing for people, except where my weak point
Mm-hmm.
is where people, what is the best way of putting this? they don't believe they're worthy.
Hmm.
So when I get into relationships with people who you could see they're trying, they just don't
Mm-hmm.
have it to give because they don't feel
Got,
they're worthy, right? So you can't really
gotcha.
love someone completely if you don't feel you're worthy. You're always going to be outreaching, right? Overreaching. You're going to be saying that you can do something more than you're actually capable of doing. And I've gotten in many relationships with people, and this is friendships and, romantic relationships over the years,
Mm-hmm.
where I tend to attract the people that, if I were to explain it, the sense I get is they just need to know they're worthy of love.
Mm. Mm.
And so it's like I'm trying to overcompensate for what they're not seeing in themselves. So the more they push me away because they don't have it to give, because they don't think they're worthy, the more I try to overcompensate to show them that they are.
Gotcha.
And it's
Gotcha.
that you can't want more for others than they
Yep.
want or to develop, ready to develop within themselves.
Correct.
And
Correct.
in coaching, I got that. I mean, I'm my best version of self when I'm coaching because I have the parameters of what's good coaching, what's bad coaching practice, right? At
Yeah.
least as I see it. But in life, when I'm not wearing that hat, it has been a struggle. And that's where I think when people say, oh my gosh, here she goes again coaching, I'm like, oh, that's actually who I am. And that's actually the
Yep.
best version of me.
I know. I know. Oh,
I
wow.
think what
Wow.
I've needed to add, which is the last piece I'm going to say about 2024 to answer your
Uh-huh.
question,
Uh-huh.
is the human part of me, showing the human part of me.
Mm.
Because I've
Mm.
got I can translate from my heart into my head. I'm really good at that. But what I haven't been able to really do as well is translate from my head to my heart. So that's where allowing these where I'm coming from to be seen by other people's hearts, and that's the vulnerability piece. You have to show you're human.
Mm.
As I can translate up, but I'm learning to translate down.
Down.
So that it's a
Wow.
constant flow of up to down, down to up. And that I have all of the value that I've been able to give for my headspace, but it can be
Gotcha.
felt,
In your
right, through
heart.
people's hearts because they can see that
Yeah.
I'm an imperfect human too.
Oh, wow. I like that. For people who are highly introspective, that answer, or that, what do we say, dichotomy, where the person is an overgiver, but then when it comes to assisting people, you're like, I'm gonna let you deal with this. I'm gonna be your guide, your guardrails, and have you hit, and then tell you, well, if you want to keep going, you can go over, but I don't think so. What do you think, right? And how you tight rope that, because that's like saying I'm an introvert, but I love to be an extrovert, love to be around people, but while you were talking, I went and I started to look at our different EP titles, because I
Hmm.
wanted to see where we were. And one of these shows, I would like for us to choose a random show, bring it up here on screen, have it playing, and we pause it, and then we talk about it. Where are we doing that time? You know what I'm saying?
I love
Why don't
that idea.
you know what? We are so innovative in here. That's why you guys come here. Um, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to December
Oh,
9,
mhm.
2021.
Oh gosh.
I'm
Oh
gonna
wow.
bring I'm gonna bring December I'm gonna bring December 29th in, and let's look.
We'll be like the
Let's-
commentators and the sports commentators.
we are gonna be in. Who knows? This is going to be. Let's do entire screen. I'm gonna do that. Also share my system. Share. Boom. And then I'm gonna add this in. Look
Oh
at
my
me.
goodness.
With the mustache. Okay.
Meeting?
Yeah, I got student.
Is this someone you know well?
No. This was a first time,
Hmm.
and but no, I was, I began to tell a story to myself. Oh my goodness, why am I, why not?
Why not?
Okay.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not just stand me up?
Why not just stand me up? Am I that important that the person had something and it just couldn't get back to me in time? So
Mm.
okay, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
Hey, there's something to attend to. I
Correct.
think we can honor that. A boundary might have been crossed.
Mm,
Maybe not. We don't know the story, right? So we don't
correct.
know. And I think having that, what I'm recognizing is my emotions are not an absolute. They're
Mm,
simply a little nudge saying, hey, there's something to attend to.
correct.
How I attend
Correct.
to it, I might need more information in order to attend to it. And so I think when we just immediately, like anger, it's like, I'm angry, like we embody the emotion, it becomes our absolute, at least in the moment.
Mhm.
Sometimes as we get immersed in the story that we make up around it, it can be a longer period of time.
Correct.
But
Tracy, what are you seeing? I mean, what are you seeing from what I said, from what you're saying? I don't know what the answer is, but what are you seeing?
So I what I'm hearing is very
Uh-huh.
much the same thing as I say
We're
nowadays, right? There's not like, oh, I used to believe this and I'm now totally, coming from a different perspective. But what I'm seeing
yeah.
I mean, and it's hard to tell because it's the freeze frame, but
Okay.
I see, and I don't know what I'm looking because I'm not looking at myself when I'm talking now, but
Gotcha.
I feel like my face is much more relaxed when I talk now. Like,
Hmm.
when I get pursed and, and I've always shown a lot of expression on my face my whole life. I don't think that's ever going to end, but what I see is more of a kind of that person who focuses very much on the delivery.
Gotcha.
That's what I see. And it might just be because that's something that I feel has shifted within me. And so, of course, I see that when I look
Uh-huh.
back at myself and how I look when I'm talking, because you can tell a lot from people's facial expressions and just how they hold even their lips and all of that when they're talking, kind of
Yep.
that tighter way of being. And I just feel so much more relaxed. Um,
I go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I
You
was
were
sharing
saying.
this with my chiropractor. Actually, I was asking her how her Thanksgiving was, and she asked same with mine. I said I think it was one of the best ones we've ever had. Everything was
Mm,
just in flow, and she says, yeah. She's like, this year just felt like, you just can't be worried if anything is not going to work out. So you just focus on what's working. I'm like, yeah, that's a good way to describe it. That's kind of how it felt. Like, is the food was all perfect. The temperature of the food was perfect. Everybody was in a great
mm,
mood. Everybody normally the kids would be at one end of the table and the adults at the other. Everybody was like, the kids were with the adults were with
mixed.
the kids.
Yep.
It was just this great, very easy flow and fun. And I spent, I don't know how long with the teenagers because I love teenagers, like the teenagers in the
Yeah.
kitchen. I love hanging out with the teenagers.
Yep. Yep.
And so like there was a point where I was in the kitchen with the teenagers for I don't know how long. And so everybody was just in their happy place, and
Mm,
there's a lot
mm,
of merging from conversation. You'd be in this conversation, then you'd come over here and be in this as opposed to just kind of the same conversation with the person you're sitting next to at
correct.
the table. So it just felt very much in flow, and that I think is where we've gotten, is that there's been so much that we've navigated since 2020 that
Mm,
to be all tightened up and worried, we just don't have it in us to do that anymore. Like,
yeah.
whatever, it's
Yeah.
going to be what it's going to be. And yet what's taking the place of all that energy going into like that performance or whatever, um, is now going into gratitude and a lot of gratitude and
Mm,
fun. I hear people saying this all the time. Like, I'm making a decision of whether this feels like it would be fun. or
Yeah.
I'm noticing where I can have fun in ways that I, wasn't focused on that. Like, how can this be fun? Oh, this is a
Correct.
obligational or
Oh
obligatory type
yeah.
of fun. It's like, oh, well, how can I look at it as an opportunity to have fun? So
Mm.
that's that's what I'm that's kind of what I'm
What
seeing
you're
it.
saying,
Mhm.
I just looking at them, bringing in the new was our February 1st. December 30th was strengthen your soul. December 6th was how to plan, let go, and accelerate. November 22, which was around Thanksgiving, I believe, gratitude and thanks. But if I remember mine, I think mine was to purge just the weights, and weights meaning things that were that I remember saying, if it wasn't bringing me peace
Mhm.
and I could control the environment, I'm not gonna have it come my way. And I think I did a lot of that. There was some purging of of ideas and people that was necessary in order for me. And then conversations, like if I was in a conversation that it wasn't really bringing, I had the choice. And I think it was something that we you said earlier, we have a choice. I have a choice to listen or not listen, and nobody can stop me from not listening. I'm just gonna get up and say, "Excuse," not rude, but excuse me. What? Just don't want to have this conversation, and easily leave. Right? You have to control where if you're in an environment where, in fact, if you know you're going with certain people going out, you know where they're going, you know it, so you can't say when you get there, oh, I don't even like this environment. Why am I in this environment? You knew where you were going.
Yeah.
Yeah, you knew where you were going. So you are fooling yourself, and we
Mm.
fool ourselves, right? You go in there. Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Really? I said to myself, I said to myself recently, if someone shows me who they are, Tracy, if you show me who you are, I am going to trust you. I'm not going to distrust you to say, that was a mistake. And I'm not saying I'm not going to be gracious to you, but I will know how to engage you.
Mhm.
I will know how I'm going to
Yeah.
engage you moving forward. But Carl came on here while we were talking. Yeah,
Aw.
Carl, we miss seeing you too. You used to be
Yeah.
our number one commenter, and all of a sudden you dropped off this place
How dare you find other things you need to attend to in life, Carl?
at 12 noon on a Wednesday. Come
Right,
on.
exactly. Oh my God, I love that. I love that
But
so much. It's
but
good to have you back with us, though, Carl, for sure.
definitely, I'm looking for, so the word I believe last year for 2024, I think it was accelerate. I
Mm.
think accelerate was the word we had. You had another one. I think it was accelerate, I believe. What's in your spirit in this season?
Yeah, I mean, for the last couple of years, it's been a lot around trust and faith, you know.
Mm, mm,
And then that I think is an ongoing. I lean into, like, I just trust it's all for a reason. I mean, I said to a client the other day when she was sharing something, I said, there's always, I do believe this. There's a reason for everything, and our job is to make that reason count. And
mm,
sometimes it's not about doing anything. I'm what's in my spirit at this time is that I'm really being prepared to receive. And when you're
mm,
a doer, like what you were just saying, and what I shared earlier about being an overgiver, this is something I see in visionaries a lot, is we're more focused on the potential than the actual most of the time.
mm, mhm,
So in relationships, we tend to focus on what we see the person could be as opposed to where they're at. So what you just said about somebody showing you who they truly are. You know, it's like, oh yeah, 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 but I know their spirit, I know their soul, I know they're really a good person. They're like holding me up at gunpoint, but I know they're really a good person. I mean, yeah, that's a good extreme. But like, I have been in relationships where I've been so mistreated,
Mm.
but I wanted, and I did feel. I mean, it's not. We do see the soul.
Oh yeah.
We do know the soul is good, but
Uh,
I also have to factor in the actuality of what the
yeah.
human is doing, and I'm worth more than that. My time, my energy, my love is worth more than that. I don't
Ooh.
deserve to be treated that way. So to your point of, I'm going to bow out of this conversation.
Mm-mm.
You know, I think some of the clarity around me or for me right now is just how much I didn't want to see the reality of how people were actually being.
Mm.
I really
Mm.
spent a lot of time in how they could be. Right. So, and
Wow.
I remind clients of that all the time. I'm like, okay, are you interacting with their their true version currently, or their potential?
Mm.
Because that's important. We
Mm.
can hold the potential, but we want to interface with the actual.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We engage with the actual. We hold the potential in our hearts, and maybe that means we walk away. We can still hold the potential in our hearts. We don't have to think of them as bad people. We can think of them
Yeah.
in their potential, but we probably shouldn't be engaging with them if they're not actually being, reciprocally kind.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're using us or whatever. And much of the time I found the people I'm talking about, I don't think actually were aware, I mean, they didn't purposely mean to hurt me. But they were definitely, and I made it very easy for them to use me. Um,
Mm. Mm.
and so it's
Mm.
just that clarity of like, that's on me.
Gotcha.
And that lesson is important, and sometimes we get everything stripped from us so that we can see those lessons.
Mm.
And so what am I going to
Mm.
do with it? So I think I'm being prepared instead of being the over giver. And I will never stop giving. It's just in my
Yeah.
nature. But I think it's to be more reciprocal and to know how to receive, because honestly, like I shared with you off camera, when you
Mm.
told me you would make it, and I had that heartfelt moment of, he's going to be there, because I have been so disappointed in my
Mm.
life because I've set myself up
Mm.
for that, as I just said,
Correct. Correct.
that when somebody shows up for me, it really touches my heart.
Mm.
Like I
Mm. Mm.
never take that for granted.
Wow.
And
Wow.
and so, I mean, sometimes my husband's like, okay, yes, I mean, effusive thank yous. Because he is just that person. He has never not shown up for me. Never.
See, like the Pentatonics
There he is.
concert.
Yeah, he's listening. That man has never not shown up for me. Yes.
Oh wow! So how was that a cappella group going?
Oh,
Was it? I know it was. I know
fantastic.
it had to be great.
It
Um,
was.
you said something earlier. You said, and I know we got what 7 more minutes here.
Mm.
You said, "I see the soul, but the human is doing something wrong." Can you? I mean, if I'm listening to this, and I'm listening, uh, are you telling me that the soul is pure?
Mhm.
That the soul doesn't embody any roughage and sand and grime, and that
Mm.
is the translation from the soul to our experiences, that the human aspect comes in and does what it does.
Mhm.
Would you say that from that comment?
So this is my belief, right? So I'm
Correct.
not going to
Yeah.
put
I
this on
mean, yeah.
anybody else. This is my belief, is that the
Just,
soul is pure and that the soul has human experience. Because I do believe we have more than one human experience. That's also another belief I
mm,
have. So I do
mm,
believe in personally, I do believe in reincarnation.
mm,
And and so the idea of the soul is pure, and at the same time the soul has had many human experiences, and it's kind of like in a video game, it's an up leveling, right? So if in a video
mm,
game, certain things happen at level 1, And
Mm-hmm.
then we move to level 2, and those same things that were happening to level 1 are also on level 2, but then there's more stuff, right? And each time we
Gotcha.
go up. And so there's a collection from human experiences that can follow a person, and that in some in some beliefs or what am I trying to say? They call that karma, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
and so this idea of, well, I'm up leveling and I'm evolving in my human experiences because it's all about the lessons, and I think the soul is at play. So I see the soul as pure,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time having a collection of these human experiences that help that soul kind of continue to say up level. It's not like the soul has to become better, but the soul
Gotcha.
gets to have up level experiences, right? So I'm a human playing a video game. It's not like I change as a human as I go up. I just get better at, certain things, or I, lose my life in certain places, because I keep going into the same pitfalls on the game, and so it's an idea of, it's play. I see our souls as
Mm,
being in a sandbox
mm,
and saying,
mm.
what are these experiences I want to have, because I want to understand it at that experiential level, right? And I can't do that when I'm
Sure.
just love and light. I'm just pure love and light, so I can't have these polarized experiences or these experiences of light and dark unless I'm in this human experience. And so I come into that for that reason. But so
Gotcha.
there's a purity of us always in our soul.
Mm.
And at the same time, we have a culmination of these human aspects that allow the soul to have these experiences.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Last week, 2 weeks ago, when you said, I think that picture, the picture I got from what you said was, um, some people tend to deal with the person rather than dealing with the soul of the person. And what that picture looks like to me is, say, a drug addict, and that's not to mean just a general, a prostitute, a homosexual, or whomever comes to sit right next to you, and then you're like, I'm not, and you start to do this. When you have that picture in your mind that there's a soul sitting next to me, it changes the dynamics of it.
Yeah.
It changes how you engage. And I start to say, so I was daydreaming, speaking to a group of people at an event, and I repeated that. And you were in the crowd, and a couple other people that I hold dear were in the crowd. And I said, until we can start engaging with souls, we'll always make mistakes as we engage with humans. So
Well, that's
take us home from here, Tracy. We got roughly 2 minutes. Just wrap up and goodbye in one.
I really love that statement so much, Woman. Until we start, and it goes to, like, in the front of my book. The way I set up my book was in like acts, like a play, instead of
Mm-hmm.
chapters, because
Gotcha.
it does speak to what you just said, and what I think I alluded to earlier is, like, we're all players in each other's play, right? Like, so you're the main character of your play, I'm the main character of my play, and as we come in stage left, stage right into one another's
Mm,
plays, we're there as supportive actors and actresses, so that person who's in the lead role gets to have that experience in their
mm,
life, right?
mm,
And because we bounce things off of other humans, it's important that these roles are played. And so sometimes, like, the biggest role is the villain, right? The soul is willing to say, I will play the villain in your play for that period of time so that you can have that experience. That's love.
mm. Wow.
And we realize that when we look at it from a soul perspective and not a human perspective.
Boom. That's where we drop the mic. Hey, Tracy, thank you so much for this hour spending with you. It's been a
Thank you,
pleasure.
Lois. Great
So,
questions today.
I know. I think today was kind of mellow. We're just even keel and just rolling through. Truly enjoyed it. To eavesdroppers, see you in the next 2 weeks.
and we'll let you know if we'll be meeting, because I think the next two after that will be New Year's. So I don't think I'm hanging with y'all on New Year's Day.
No, I don't think people will want to be with us that day anyway. Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
Tracy. Take care. Bye
You
bye.
too. Bye-bye.